Imagine waking up to the sound of sirens, with the sky filled with smoke and the ground trembling underfoot. This is the harsh reality for millions living in war zones around the world. While we live in relative peace, countless regions are trapped in ongoing conflict, where survival is a daily battle. But what exactly is going on in these war-torn areas? How do these conflicts begin, and what is their impact on the people living through them? Let's take a closer look at the war zones that dominate the news headlines and understand the true cost of war. War zones are areas where violent conflict and armed combat occur. War zones are not just about physical conflict, they also represent long-term impacts on the economy, health, infrastructure, and social fabric of the affected regions. The Syrian civil war, which began in 2011, has devastated the country. What started as protests against President Bashar al-Assad's regime quickly escalated into a full-scale civil war. Multiple factions, including government forces, rebel groups, and ISIS, have fought for control of the country, leading to hundreds of thousands of deaths and millions of displaced people. Syria's infrastructure is in ruins, and the effects of the conflict will be felt for generations. Over 13 million people displaced, with more than 5.6 million seeking refuge in other countries. Widespread destruction of hospitals, schools, and homes. Severe humanitarian crisis, with millions in need of food, water, and medical care. Cities like Mariupol and Kiev have suffered heavy bombardment. The world faces a potential food crisis, as Ukraine is a major grain producer, and the war has disrupted exports. The Tigray conflict in Ethiopia, which began in 2020, has torn apart one of Africa's most populous countries. The war involves the Ethiopian government, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, and other ethnic militias. The legacy of civil war in South Sudan is a haunting reminder of the cost of conflict. From the struggle for independence to the ongoing humanitarian crisis, the scars of war are deeply etched into the nation's fabric. Displaced families, ethnic tensions, and a fragile peace continue to shape the lives of millions. Over 400,000 people killed and 4 million displaced. The economy is in ruins, and millions are facing food insecurity, ethnic violence, and ongoing political instability. Myanmar, also known as Burma, has been in turmoil since the military coup of 2021, which overthrew the democratically elected government. The coup led to violent crackdowns on protests and ethnic groups like the Rohingya Muslims, who have faced systemic violence and persecution for decades. Thousands killed and many more detained or tortured by the military junta. Ongoing human rights abuses, including extrajudicial killings and torture. Large numbers of Rohingya refugees living in camps in Bangladesh. The Central African Republic has been embroiled in conflict for much of its recent history. over 5,000 killed and 1 million displaced. Humanitarian aid is difficult to deliver due to the ongoing conflict. Widespread human rights abuses, including sexual violence and forced recruitment of children into armed groups. War zones are some of the most devastating realities of our world today. Many wars are not isolated conflicts. They often involve the influence of global superpowers. In some cases, countries like the US, Russia, China, and regional powers may intervene, either through direct military involvement, supplying arms, or supporting one side in the conflict. This often exacerbates the violence and prolongs the war. For example, the US played a significant role in Afghanistan and Iraq, while Russia's involvement in Ukraine and Syria has further complicated these conflicts. One of the tragic byproducts of war zones is the massive displacement of people. Refugees often face dangerous journeys in search of safety, and once they reach new countries, they frequently live in refugee camps or face hardships in their host countries. Beyond the physical destruction, war leaves deep psychological scars on the people involved. Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, is common among both civilians and soldiers, and the effects on children growing up in war zones can be devastating. The trauma can affect generations, as children who witness or are victims of violence often carry the psychological burden into adulthood, influencing their mental health, educational attainment, and social interactions. Economic collapse. War zones often experience economic collapse. Infrastructure, such as roads, schools, hospitals, and factories, is destroyed, making it extremely difficult for communities to rebuild. Trade is disrupted, industries collapse, and essential services like healthcare and education are rendered almost non-existent. The impact on the local and global economy can be long-lasting, with countries struggling to recover even after the war ends. War crimes and human rights violations. War often leads to serious human rights violations, such as genocide, ethnic cleansing, torture, and sexual violence. In many war zones, the line between combatants and civilians becomes blurred, and atrocities are committed by both sides. The International Criminal Court, or ICC, and other international bodies work to prosecute war criminals. But accountability is often lacking, especially in conflicts where multiple factions are involved, or where international intervention is minimal. In conflict zones, humanitarian organizations play a crucial role in providing emergency assistance, such as food, clean water, medical care, and shelter. However, delivering aid can be incredibly challenging due to ongoing fighting, logistical obstacles, or deliberate blockages by warring factions. Organizations like the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, and the International Red Cross are at the forefront of these efforts, but their work is often hindered by political barriers and security risks. War zones often suffer from severe environmental damage. Bombings, chemical warfare, and the destruction of infrastructure lead to soil contamination, deforestation, and water pollution, which can further harm the local population's ability to rebuild. The media plays a crucial role in shaping global perceptions of war zones through news coverage, documentaries, and social media. While this helps raise awareness and mobilize humanitarian aid, media coverage can also be skewed or manipulated by warring factions, leading to misinformation or biased portrayals of the conflict. And their effectiveness often depends on the political will of the international community and the conflicting parties. Many war-torn regions deal with long-term issues such as poverty, corruption, a lack of educational opportunities, and high levels of violence due to the breakdown of social order. And citizens to address the root causes of conflict, prevent future wars, and provide aid to those in need. The reality of war zones is a stark reminder of the fragile nature of peace and the profound impact conflict has on countless lives. While we may feel distant from these crises, the world is interconnected, and every action counts. We all have a role to play in alleviating suffering and advocating for change. Here's how you can make a difference. Stay informed. Educate yourself on global conflicts and their consequences. Support humanitarian efforts. Donate to organizations providing aid in war zones, such as the Red Cross, UNHCR, and Doctors Without Borders. Your support can help provide life-saving assistance to those affected by war. Advocate for peace. Engage in peaceful activism and advocate for global policies that prioritize diplomacy, conflict resolution, and human rights. Raise awareness. Share the stories of those living in war zones. Amplify their voices by talking about these issues with friends, family, and on social media. Every conversation can help increase awareness and inspire action. Get involved. Volunteer or contribute to local organizations supporting refugees and displaced individuals in your community. Their resilience can inspire us all to take action in our own ways. War may seem distant, but the effects of conflict are felt everywhere. Let's come together to bring awareness, support, and peace to the places that need it most. The time to act is now.